Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot, and for today's episode, we're going to discuss, among other topics, the Pennsylvania inmate who escaped 2 weeks ago was finally recaptured this morning. That guy should not even be on this earth anymore. Shouldn't have been on this earth 3 years ago, actually. The fact that he was both an illegal alien and a murderer. And of course, the only reason he was still alive in Pennsylvania is because those pussies like Josh Shapiro and John Furman, etc., they're dumbasses who need to be resigned from office right now at this point, if nothing else, be removed from office under various impeachments and stuff like that. Because their dumbasses are the stupid motherfuckers who actually did away with the death penalty in Pennsylvania a few years back now is what it is. And I said it before, I said it again, dude. Anybody that calls for the ending of a state death penalty should immediately be removed from office at that point. That includes all these rhino fuckers here in Ohio that are doing the same goddamn thing right now and trying to help Democrats do that shit. It's like, we don't need to end death penalties in state levels, you idiots. What we need to do is we need to actually have something change to where you add other methods to the thing. If you can't find, your friggin' lethal injection drugs, which, by the way, shouldn't even be a method at this point. It should be the hardest hardcore thing possible, whether it be, like Texas has with public hanging, or whether it be firing squad, the boats, etc., electric chair, gas chamber, all that stuff like that we used to do back in the day. And the whole point entirely of it is it should be a quick yet very painful method for what these sons of bitches have done. If they sat there and murdered a woman, or they sat there and murdered a bunch of people because they're a serial killer, or they raped a bunch of kids, or whatever the case be, they should feel incredible pain before their death. And that's the entire problem right now. We're not doing that. We are allowing them to be killed with one of the most pussy-ass ways possible, lethal injection. And yeah, you had pieces of shit in Pennsylvania do away with their death penalty years ago is what it was, and that's why this asshole was allowed to be in Pennsylvania prison for as long as he was now. Which he shouldn't have been in U.S. soil anyway, for that matter, because of the fact that he was illegal from Brazil, I believe is what it was. And he was actually a Brazilian, cartel killer or something like that before all this. So, anyway, that's going to be one story of the day. We got a bunch of 2A news to talk about as well, and then we're going to get into some things in the mix there about VF. You guys know what I mean when I say that. So, anyway. Not really an interesting start time. It's just the fact that I happened to be up, and I found out that the PA guy was recaptured today, and I figured I'd do a grandstand here is what it is. So, if it wasn't for the fact that I slept last night, I'd still be asleep right now, probably, most likely. But anyway, so basically, going to the whole thing there in Pennsylvania, we're going to bring up the news story for that one first, which is this USA Today article, which pretty much every mainstream media is talking about now, which is killer Danelo Cavalcante captured in Pennsylvania with, quote, element of surprise. So it was like either yesterday or the day before that, this son of a bitch was able to walk into somebody's garage in Pennsylvania and grab out some kind of a 22 rifle. Not sure if it was a 10-22, a 15-22, what exactly it was. Could have been a bolt action 22 for that matter. But he was able to get away with a gun, is what it is. And the homeowner shot at him with a pistol. Obviously missed, is what it was. And honestly, and I'll say it like I said before, dude, this is the problem. We don't have frontier justice in this country anymore. And we don't have old school, wanted dead or alive bounties and stuff like that. Because really, truthfully, the day that this guy escaped from prison, there should have been a fucking, bounty out for his fucking, corpse at that point, basically, is what I'll say it, honestly, dude. Where it's wanted dead or alive, $15,000 or something like that. And I guarantee you, if they had done that shit, you would have had every Pennsylvania resident at that point that wanted some cash to, arm the fuck up and go out and posse hunt this guy is what it is, dude. And that guy would have been captured / killed in probably a day or less, honestly. The fact that they had Pennsylvania under 2 weeks of terror over this shit, the fact that I live legitimately only about less than 100 miles, honestly, from the Pennsylvania-Ohio border, this son of a bitch could have easily been in my fucking backyard a week and a half ago, dude, if he had escaped Pennsylvania. So, yeah, that's exactly why I'm calling for the resignations of Josh Shapiro, John Furman, etc. Because it's they put Pennsylvanians under terror for 2 weeks. You put Ohioans under terror for 2 weeks at this point, too, as well. Not to mention Kentucky, not to mention New York, any other state that borders Pennsylvania. So, Yeah, it's a bunch of shit entirely. But anyway, so going back and reading the rest of this article, though, I want to see how they actually captured this guy, because truthfully, they should have captured him dead. This is what it should have been, dude. And it says, convicted murderer who broke out of Pennsylvania prison, captured Wednesday after an exhaustive manhunt that happened nearly 2 weeks, that jangled the nerves of local residents. He was apprehended around 8 a.m. this morning after a heat signal was located west of the Pennsylvania Route 100 near Prizer Road at 1 a.m. Pennsylvania State Prison or State Police Lieutenant Colonel George Bevins said in a press conference after waiting out a storm overnight. Local law enforcement closed in on the area early Wednesday morning, so they had the element of surprise. This guy did not realize he was surrounded until that had occurred. Said he tried to escape, crawling through thick underbrush with a rifle he stole from a homeowner earlier this week. Said a search dog was released and subdued him, so basically the dog bite his ass is what it was. Said adding that he sustained a, quote, minor dog bite. Oh, it should have been a major dog bite. It should have been a failed dog bite at that point, honestly, dude. So this piece of shit was forcibly taken into custody as he continued to resist. A photo displayed at Wednesday's news conference shows him wearing long pants and an Eagles sweatshirt being held by multiple uniformed officers after the capture. Kavita, 34, escaped the Chester County prison on August 31st while he was awaiting transfer to a state facility to serve a life sentence for fatally stabbing an ex-girlfriend in 2021. Prosecutors say he killed her to stop her from telling the police that he was wanted in a 2017 slaying in his native Brazil, which, by the way, he was an illegal alien in this country. He already killed people over in Brazil, escaped here to America through open border system, killed his ex so that she wouldn't tell on his ass then about that and the fact that he was also illegal in this country. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, why is this son of a bitch still alive, dude? Seriously. Like, he's already dealt murder or nothing. Like, seriously. Pretty sure that we have extradition with Brazil. Give him back to Brazil and let them kill his ass. If your pussy asses ain't gonna do it in Pennsylvania, man, for fuck's sakes. So, so fucking, just annoying, dude. It's beyond irritating at this point. Anyway, so the sheriff guy, or lieutenant colonel guy, said the suspect was taken into custody at state police station to be questioned. He's ultimately to be taken to a state correctional facility where he'll begin serving his life sentence. Footage from local TV news station showed uniformed officers escorting his ass, draped in a silver blanket, out of an armored vehicle and onto the police barracks around 9:45 a.m. this morning. Onlookers got out of their cars, waving and watching from overpasses as a column of law enforcement vehicles transported his piece of shit ass into custody. Again, you should have been literally transporting a hearse with his dead body in it, dude. Seriously. Like, how fucking hard is it to kill this guy, man? Like, the dude is obviously, like, armed and dangerous. Like, oh shit, he raised the rifle. Bang, bang, bang. Fucking 20 cops shoot his ass to death is what it is. Like, seriously, that's what it should have been, honestly, dude. Like, how fucking hard would that have been? You know? It would have been just what the Dayton cops did here in Ohio back in 2019 to that piece of shit Antifa motherfucker who did the Dayton massacre. They didn't fuck around. They didn't waste taxpayer money. They dealt with the goddamn threat right then and there, dude. And saved us a shitload of fucking meals comp to this piece of shit in prison, etc., etc. Which is exactly what the actual thing should be at that point, dude. And that's the problem with law enforcement in this country entirely. They're so fucking pussified. Anyway. From here, we're going to go on to another story that's actually not 2A related, and then we're going to go to the third story of the day, which is going to be about voter fraud specifically. And then we're going to go into the 2A stuff for the day, is what it is. So, but anyway. So this one I thought was interesting. Yesterday at a Senate hearing, you had, I'm trying to think of that guy is, John Kennedy, or whatever that one dude's name is, the Kennedy guy from Louisiana, who was a U.S. Senator. He's kind of old. But yeah, he was basically having a discussion on the Senate chambers the other day with some people who are all pro all the pedo books and stuff like that in the school system right now. And he's like, okay, I'm going to read out loud some of these fucking books and stuff like that you fuckers want on these school shelves for kids to read. And it was like some hardcore graphic shit is what it was, dude. So, Anyway, yeah, it said, don't give an inch on this. Lawmakers argue over book bans in heated hearing. So Capitol Hill became the latest arena for a growing fight over book bans. It's not. See, that's the thing, though. I love how they say book bans. It's not book bans. It's literally CSAM, dude. It's child sexual material at that point. It would be the equivalent, honestly, or very close to the equivalent, of actually sending fucking child sex material to other people, dude. With that kind of stuff. Because half the time of this shit, you look, some of this stuff has active depictions of dudes blowing other dudes in these fucking books. So how is that not fucking child sex abuse material? Like, it just blows my fucking mind, honestly, dude. It really does. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the fact that every single parent in this country isn't up in arms over this shit is exactly what's wrong with our country currently, is what it is, man. Because they should be the ones suing the hell out of these fucking school systems and suing every single one of these teachers slash principals slash school staff that wants this shit on the fucking in the school libraries, dude. And they should be suing the goddamn teachers unions out of fucking existence at this point, honestly. Which should have already been banned years ago for this crap. Should have been banned years ago after 2020's lockdown, dude. Anyway, let's see here where we're at now. So lawmakers debated their implementation of for children among the culture war controversies is that book bannings, schools and libraries, often in response to parent or community complaints, set a record high last year, while some say the movement is a form of censorship targeted at narratives or by or about LGBTQ people and people of color. Others argue that the restrictions are meant to protect children from sexually graphic and explicit stories. That's what it is today, by the way. It's that second part, 100%. So the issue has become deeply partisan, with Republicans and Democrats sparring across levels of government and the campaign trail, and most recently on Tuesday during a Senate committee on the judiciary hearing. So here's what you need to know about the heated debate in Congress. Said parental rights take center stage. Much of the focus on Tuesday was on rights of the parents and education of the children. Republican candidates and lawmakers across the country for years have leaned into some parents' concerns about what is being taught in schoolroom or classroom. So presidential candidate, the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed parental rights education bill, dubbed the Don't Say Gay bill, which, by the way, Ohio is actually doing that too as well. There's never actually anything in that bill that says anything about being gay. It was literally, hey, you're not teaching fucking child molestation and pedophile literature to fucking children, dude. That's exactly what it was. It was, no, you're not gonna sit here as a fucking math teacher and talk about pedo books in schools and shit, people. Or teach kids about, like, oh, this is why you're actually a girl now, Timmy. And shit like that, instead of actually teaching the fucking math classes. So the race for Virginia's governorship in 2021 hinged on education and parental rights after Democrat candidate and ex-governor Terry McAuliffe, who, by the way, should be in prison right now for Charlottesville, said in a debate, I don't think parents should be telling schools what they should teach. His opponent, Glenn Youngkin, jumped on the statement to fuel his win in that fall. The only thing that sucks about Virginia is one of a few states where you can only have a single-term governorship. So basically, unless Youngkin has a plan right now with Winsome Sears, who's the lieutenant governor of Pennsylvania, or lieutenant governor of Virginia right now, she's the black chick who's pro-2A as fuck, is what it is. Unless he has like a really smart 16-year plan right now with her, which, by the way, I'm laying out what they should be doing right now in this whole thing for the next like 14 years, essentially. It basically would go like this. Winsome Sears should run in 2025 and have Glenn Youngkin as her lieutenant governor. In 2029, after they win that term, you have Glenn Youngkin then run for another term with Winsome Sears as his lieutenant governor, and vice versa, all the way up through like the 2030s is what it is. And that's how you make Virginia one of the best states in this country, honestly, dude. And you start doing all kinds of Pro-2A stuff during that whole time as well. Because you could easily flip-flop that General Assembly is what it is, dude, and get a bunch of good shit going on there through multiple sets of governorships is what it is then. Are they actually going to do that? Who's to say? Would Winsome Sears make an awesome governor? Hell yes, you would. Because that's the entire point, dude. Like, you should have Pro-2A chicks in there is what it is. Same thing with Pro-2A guys in there, for that matter. And if you're not going to allow people to have, 2-term runs is what it is, then you should usually be able to do that is what it is then. And that's the only reason that piece of shit Terry was not governor for 2 terms is what it was. That's why you had that idiot Ralph Northam in there, was because McAuliffe, I think it's McAuliffe, actually. You had Terry's ass, who was termed out after Charlottesville back in like the end of 2017, I think is what it was. and then you know having that moron Ralph Northam win that year, and then he went on this whole thing about like, and that's why you should keep the babies comfortable before you kill them, and talked about how they called him all kinds of racist shit back in the day, and he had like crazy racist nicknames is what it was because it was clearly white supremacist what it is, dude. So anyway, and thank God they got Glenn in there now, dude, because Glenn's actually a decent guy is what it is, at least as far as I can tell is what it is here. So anyway, but yeah, like I said, you had Kennedy read out some stuff to him and stuff like that. So yeah, as I said here, it said, where you go? Yeah, it says, President of Parents Defending Education, Nicole Levy of Virginia, testified before the Senate committee Tuesday over her frustration. Said it is not evil to want to be involved in your children's education every time a parent is falsely accused of wanting to ban a book because of a reasonable concern about the subject matter it has in it. Neighbors are pitted against each other. That's the whole point, dude. It's all divide and conquer strategy from the elites is what it is there. So anyway, where's that now? Yeah, so but other witnesses disagreed. A second-year student at Bardias University, Cameron Samuel, said on Tuesday, students are the top stakeholders in education and need more of a voice on the issue of books being removed from schools. Oh, you mean the 9 to 10-year-old child who's being told, oh yeah, go read that book about gender fluidity called Gender Queer, or go read this other book about two dudes blowing each other at the age of fucking 14 and stuff like that. That's what one of those is about, actually. I forget which one that one's called, but yeah, there's a bunch of them out there, dude. There's like, that's the problem entirely, dude. Really, honestly, if parents were smart at this point, as a collective, they would be actively doing class action lawsuits against these fucking book manufacturers, dude, and suing the hell out of these people like Schuster and stuff like that is what it is, that are allowing this garbage even be printed in the first place is what it is, dude. To give these fucking these people that are clearly fucking pedophiles who are writing this fucking disgusting material outlet for their shit is what it is, dude. It's like, no. Take that fucking shit to task, dude, and put these fuckers out of business entirely. Or just take their damn companies in the lawsuits is what it really is. And that way you can be like, no, we're not going to publish your fucking shit anymore. Go fuck yourself, dude. You want to publish it? Self-publish it, asshole. And that would be the whole thing right there is what it is. So, by the way, for those interested, I'm actually still reading the book about what's happening to our current generation of kids right now that I call Generation Sterilization. Hoping to have that out here in the next year or so is what it is, but it's hard. I've gotten off track quite a bit is what it is, though. But basically, it all started about a year or so ago when I found out that my second cousin decided she wanted to be a trans man. And yeah, it's all fucked up, man. So it's just so sad, man, because she's already had double mastectomy and stuff like that, and it's like, Jesus Christ, Ashley, like you're never gonna be the same again, girl. So, and of course, it happened after she went to college. So, you know, doctoring and threw away from this bullshit is what it is, dude. Anyway, let's see where we're at now. Yeah, so that idiot second-year student said opening statements described their experience as a high schooler in Katy, Texas, standing alone in the school board meeting, facing a room full of adults and speaking out against book bans for their classmates. Quote, students should own our education and have the ability to make decisions about our education, Samuels told USA Today after the hearing. Congress needs to recognize that the shape policy that is conductive, shape and policy that is conductive, said, are you telling taxpayers in this country to shut up? Democrat senators, including committee chair Dick Durbin on Tuesday, argued parents' rights only extend to their own children, and some witnesses agreed. By the way, Dick Durbin's piece of shit ass should already been arrested out of office fucking, like, what is it, like 15 years ago for calling for fucking gun bans and shit, dude. That dude has committed so many deprivation rights of law right now. He should honestly be in federal prison right now, you know, on various things. At least life imprisonment anyway. For the shit he's pulled anyway, dude. And I'll leave it at that. Anyway, it said, let's see, Illinois Secretary of State, Alexi, I'm not sure if that's the person's last name, told Durbin Other committee members he could never imagine telling another parent what their child should be allowed to read said book banners say they want local control. What's more local than controlling what takes place in your own household? Ranking member Lindsey Graham later pushed that piece of shit, a Secretary of State there from Illinois, who should be out of office, by the way, as well, for that matter, for literally helping J.P. Fritzker ban guns in the state of Illinois. Fuck you, Alexi, you piece of shit. Fucking scumbag ass pedo. Like, honestly, that's the one thing that all these fucking people have in common, by the way, these Democrats and shit, dude, is they outed themselves real fucking quick as both pedophile enablers and child molesters themselves then. When you're actively taking a stance to be like, oh, we shouldn't ban the books, even though they're clearly teaching kids about oral sex and shit at the age of fucking 7 or 8. Or even younger than that in some cases, 5, 6, etc. And it's like, dude, you guys should be in prison right now for the rest of your fucking lives at minimum right now, honestly. And it's shit like this that just pisses me off beyond belief. And people wonder why I'm railing so hard back against the November 7th election over that bullshit version of issue 1. That's the fucking child murder / abortion / child sterilization crap they're trying to push through here. That was the copy and paste garbage from Michigan about a year ago. They're pushing through here in Ohio on November 7th. Yeah. Issue 1 is actually bullshit this time around. And should be kicked out the fucking ballot immediately is what it is. So, anyway, you'll be hearing a lot more about that, actually, because as of yesterday, they fuckers started releasing their bullshit pro-abortion fucking ads and stuff, being like, and this is why you should vote yes on issue 1. It's like, fuck off, cunts. Like, how about you take your fucking asses up to Michigan, or over to New York, or down to California, or any other fucking Democrat-run hell pocket in this country, and live there and move out of Ohio, you fucking assholes. We don't need your disgusting behavior here is what it is. Anyway. Where are we now? Yeah, so Lindsey Graham later pushed back on that piece of shit Secretary of State on his statements, asking the father of 3, are you telling taxpayers in this country to shut up? Says, hailing DeSantis and his education policy as an example, Graham said governors and local leaders, along with parents, have a right to ensure agendas are not being pushed on children. Don't give an inch on this, Graham said during the hearings as lawmakers debated the scope, motivation of book bans, civil targeting. Content taught to kids has become a growing part of GOP's platform. Several Republican senators and their witnesses Tuesdays downplay the issue of book banning, said, to put it blatantly, books are not being banned, said Max Eden, a research fellow at the American Enterprise Institute who testified at the hearing. What this issue is really about is the provocation of sexually explicit material to children by public employees. Exactly, sir. Exactly. Says 2 of the most challenged books across the country are Genderqueer by Maya Kabedi, obviously a pedophile, and All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson, who's also clearly a pedophile. So according to the American Liberty Association, Senator John Kennedy read excerpts from both books during the public hearing, including a sexually explicit description of anal sex, which I believe is that one about Not All Boys Are Blue. Or maybe it was the Genderqueer, I'm not sure. It's disgusting, though, dude. Fucking absolutely sickening, dude. I'm not even going to talk about that shit, but if y'all want to hear that, there's a video out there of him actually reading that book, so yeah, it's just fucking beyond irreprehensible, man, is what it is. So, anyway. Moving on to, since we're 20 minutes into this now, moving on to the whole voter fraud thing, you had a bunch of douchebags on Reddit try to claim that there was like 48 million Democrat voters right now, and my response to that originally was, and of that 48 million, at least a third of them are over 110 years old and have been dead for decades. And then some dumb cunt about an hour ago replied back to me and said, why do you lie so apparently and blatantly to dump on those you don't like? Get the fuck out of here with your manufactured claims that have been disproven time and again. Go take it to court. Oh, wait. And I said, oh, you mean like the court battle that's going on currently in Arizona to overturn Katie Hobbs' cheat? And that will be followed up by a ton of other Democrats being taken to task over the 2,000 mules and other cheats that they've committed with in the past 5 years, by mail and everything else like that. The fact of the matter is this, dude. You have had legitimately, in the past, I think it was like month or so actually, you've had multiple sheriffs, even in California for that matter, come out. You've had multiple officials down in Georgia come out, etc., and talk about how, hey, here's the discrepancies in these voter rolls and stuff like that, where you have people that are like, several thousand of them that are like 105 years old, 110 years old or older, have been on the voter rolls for like decades and stuff like that when they're clearly dead and they've been in the fucking ground for decades is what it is, dude. And then there's also other ones where it's like you have like 1,000 people at a fucking PO box and stuff like that, dude, all using it as an address for their voter registrations. Like, obviously the shit's going on, and the only reason the courts haven't overturned it at this point, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, dude, is because they're corrupt as fuck is what it is. It's the same exact bullshit that we saw in this country back in 1994 during the Sultan's ban. You had a bunch of Bill Clinton appointees, you had a bunch of Bush senior appointees who were in power then as federal judges, etc., who refused to actually overturn that stuff, even though there was multiple lawsuits against the assault weapons ban and its legality at that point. Because again, it was completely unconstitutional then, just like it is fucking now. Just like every single one of these state ones is unconstitutional as fuck right now. Just like every single red flag law in this country is unconstitutional as fuck right now. And it pisses me off entirely with the red flag law stuff that you have not had the Supreme Court in over 20 years now, since the first one was created back in, I believe it was Connecticut, after Columbine happened in 1999, that you had that one not be taken to task and be used as a pressure point and stuff like that of, hey, this is clearly unconstitutional, illegal and stuff like that. And I think the main reason for that one was because it wasn't until really, honestly, Parkland happened in 2018, and you had Florida and a bunch of other states start passing the stuff, that it really ramped up and you had people actually using it then. Because the one in Colorado, or one in Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken, really wasn't used all that much is what it is. But yeah, since Parkland has happened there in Florida, you've had hundreds of people down there in Florida lose their rights unjustly and have been fighting for 2.5 years or more now, trying to get their fucking guns and shit like that back because they said something that people didn't like to hear is what it was, dude. It's a bunch of shit entirely. So, it's fucking annoying and irritating beyond belief, honestly, dude. And then, of course, you got this one, which I talked about this jerk off before here on the channel. This was when that UNC shooting happened a couple weeks ago. You had this fucking cocksucker right here in the March for Our Lives shirt, who's some David Hogg fucking proxy, and his idiot fucking friends there with MDA, etc. Apparently, they all got their asses booted out of the North Carolina legislature yesterday. Says UNC students demanding gun reform removed from North Carolina legislature. They should have been arrested, by the way, on felony charges of various things, dude, including insurrection. And then stripped of voting rights forever is what it is. Because fuck all these fucking people, dude. And honestly, in a just society, we'd have both the 28th and the 20th Amendment right now. You have the 20th Amendment of, age, health, term limits, and then auto DQs from office and running for office. If you're trying to, push through gun control or abortion stuff or whatever as legislation, or if you're running on those platforms, etc. And then the 29th Amendment would actually be permanent exile from this country and stripping U.S. citizenship and stuff like that from these anti-gun fuck knuckles and stuff like that, dude. Anyone else we deemed a threat to our nation, specifically Islam. So, yeah, we'd be much better off as a country if that was the case right now. But unfortunately, those never happen probably because, none of the people get on board with them, dude, is what it is. But yeah, every time these little shit for brains go out there and bitch and moan about, like, this is why we need to grab more guns, instead of actually addressing the real problem, which is gun-free zones in this country. Because if we didn't have fucking gun-free zones, like every college campus pretty much is, except for the couple that you do have where you have concealed carry on campus, so it is there, we'd be much better off and stuff like that. And then, of course, you got this line cut up in the corner with your stupid sign that says, guns are the #1 killer of American youth. Okay. Yeah, that is the case when you add in 18 and 19-year-olds as children, lady. Something you MDA fucking cunts love to do in this country. And lie about shit. Not to mention the fact you also lie about how any child in this country from 13 to 19 is also usually a fucking gangbanger doing gangbanger shit in this country. Going and killing each other, black on black crimes, fucking doing all kinds of hood violence and stuff like that. And going on, various killing sprees. Got fucking, a bunch of 8th graders with Glocks with fucking full auto switches on the back of them and stuff like that, dude. That, by the way, they can't legally possess those guns because they're under 21 or at least 18, depending on state is what it is. And number 2, can't have the fucking Glock switch because it's automatically a felony in this country. So where the hell they get that from is what it is, dude. Yeah, there's videos out there, by the way, of these fucking kids in Chicago, dude. It was a group of like, I think 6 or 8 of them is what it was there, who were finishing their 8th grade graduation and literally pulling out fucking Glocks with fucking switches on the back of them, with most of them having like a 33 round stick in them at the time is what it was. It's just insane, dude. It's fucking insane. And then it also keeps getting younger and younger. I mean, hell, here in Ohio, there's fucking 9 and 10-year-olds now doing carjackings up in Cleveland and shit, dude. And again, it goes back to a lot of what I said before. There's multiple factors involved in this, by the way. One of the major ones is fatherless homes in this country. Another one is just fucking rap music in general, I think, honestly, that perpetuates this shit in most cases when you have, them basically saying about, dealing drugs and stealing cars and getting money and getting paid and getting laid and everything else like that. Like, yeah. And then, of course, you got these kids looking for role models and stuff like that. So why wouldn't they go to the, local drug dealer and stuff like that? That becomes a drug kingpin eventually is what it is. And then, of course, God forbid, you have like one guy in a neighborhood or whatever the case be kind of keeping that place, chilled. And you have the fucking cops go raid that dude's house and yank him out of there or yank his crew out of there if that be the case then. And then what do you have? You have gang turf wars to fill that void of power is what it is now. And that's what causes a lot of that stuff as well, for that matter. And that's unfortunately, where unless you're going to deal with like every single gang in that area, dude, like, do what needs to be done there and do that, or don't do anything is what it is. Because if you take out one, you might be taking out the best one, actually, that's keeping things from going into like crazy fucking, gang retaliation and stuff like that. And it's going to be drive-by after drive-by and shit. And meanwhile, you actually have like that one dude or that, set of guys, whatever it is there, that crew, actually keeping everybody else in check and stuff. And that actually expands to something else I want to talk about for a second, which is what we kind of talked about a little bit on Honda's chat last night, which is Saddam Hussein back in the day. You had Bush Jr. try to get one back for his idiot father, Bush Sr., by killing Saddam then in the 2000s and stuff like that, after we invaded Iraq and stuff like that, and Iran and everything else like that. The problem was, this is something I've actually heard from both my cousin, who's an ex-Marine, and a few other ex-military guys that became like mercenaries and stuff over the decades and stuff now. Every single one of these guys I've talked to about this, they were like, yeah, dude, Saddam was a linchpin overseas. Like, he was literally the fucking figurehead that was keeping the Middle East in check. And as soon as they killed him, all bets were off. And you had all kinds of ISIS terrorism pop up after that is what it was. Because, again, you had a power void being created with the Saddam Hussein. And yet, meanwhile, then you had to have somebody, grab for that power. And it was everybody and their fucking brother then is what it was. Trying to reach for power and stuff like that. That's why you had, various wars and fucking endless forever wars for 20 years. And of course, what had happened? You had 20 fucking years of us pissing away fucking body after body, American citizen after American citizen, grinding these fucking poor teenage kids up, men, women, etc., and basically either turning them into stone cold killers or PTSD shells of themselves, or some variation thereof. Maybe they lost arms, maybe they lost legs, maybe they didn't make it from ID explosions, etc. For what? So you could just basically hand the shit back to the fucking Taliban in 2021? It's one of the most retarded things I've ever seen in my entire life, dude. And now you got fucking dickhead Biden. This is the reason why I'm bringing it up, by the way. You got fucking dickhead Biden's fucking fake-ass administration right now. Instead of actually going back over there and, I don't know, getting back the $80 billion in military equipment you fuckers left behind for these cocksuckers and recovering our shit over there. No, what do you have? You have fucking dumbasses sending people over there to basically be shit squads and clean up human feces on fucking tarmacs and stuff. Are you fucking kidding me, you old pedophile fuck? And you wonder why American citizens get pissed off, dude. Not to mention the fact that Biden killed a bunch of service members over there, 13 specifically, when he did that failed pullout a couple years back now. Fucking scumbag. And then how the audacity to look at his watch when he had their bodies being brought back and draped in have their coffins draped in American flags. It's fucking beyond irreprehensible, dude. But anyway, going back to what I was saying though, with the UNC kids here, Says dozens of college students were kicked out of the North Carolina legislature on Tuesday after the group called for gun reform. Students, part of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill chapter of gun activist group March for Our Lives, aka a bunch of douchebags who literally, by the way, if you look back into the March for Our Lives creation and stuff like that, had their fucking protests set up months before Parkland even happened and paid for by Planned Parenthood back in 2018. But yet, oh no, Parkland wasn't a false flag at all. Yes, it was. I'll call it like it is, dude. I don't fucking care what people have to say about that. Anyway, especially with douchebag David Hogg fucking lying his ass off, being like, oh, I was totally there that day, and then was like, later on, he's like, oh yeah, I rode my bike to the school and got my camera out and things like that. And it's like, you're a fucking lying sack of shit, buddy. Anyway, this is at once the group wearing matching t-shirts and UNC colors stood and chanted, vote them out at the legislature before being escorted out of the chambers. According to a video shared by one of the fucking ass clown co-founders here. Let's see, is that video actually? Oh, of course, fucking dickhead David Hogg. Fucking clown ass. Jesus. Yeah. Fucking ass wipes. Following a shooting at our school, students from UNC Chapel Hill chapter of March for Our Lives got kicked out of the state's legislature for demanding an end to gun violence, shouting, vote them out. By the way, just so we're clear, David Hogg's bitch ass right now should currently be in prison for a bunch of fucking felonies, including but not limited to his own fucking insurrection level shit when he tried to stop hearings of U.S. Senate hearings over gun control stuff a couple years ago during Uvalde and stuff like that, after Uvalde happened there and they were voting on that shit. And the fact that son of a bitch is not a convicted felon right now is absolutely ridiculous in this country, dude. Anyway, so the gunman at USC graduate student was arrested after the shooting and charged with first-degree murder. By the way, it was also an Asian-on-Asian hate crime, which I'm pretty sure might have been an Asian sleeper cell dude killing his Asian teacher is what it was. So, anyway. So legislator protest came as North Carolina lawmakers attempt to pass the state's budget. Legislators' Republican majority has not announced plans to consider gun control legislation, nor should they. The only gun reforms that they should be doing is passing constitutional carry in North Carolina and passing a stand your ground laws, maybe possibly passing concealed carry on campus laws too, for that matter, if they want to get into that whole thing, because that alone would have stopped this motherfucker. Because you would have actually had people being able to be armed and kill him on the spot then, is what it would have been then. So having cops have to go hunt the guy down and find him then is what it was. Anyway, it's a similar gun control protest shook the Tennessee legislature this spring after 3 lawmakers interrupted a session with protests, which, by the way, was an actual insurrection then, and in all 3 of those assholes, Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, and Gloria Johnson, should all be currently in Tennessee prison for deprivation of rights of law, for an insurrection act, for various other fucking felony charges, etc. And never be allowed to see that fucking inside of those damn chambers ever again, dude. And the fact you had that fuck knuckle Jones in the last week or so, or a couple weeks ago, whatever it was now, going the whole thing, basically calling for Cameron Sexton's vote no confidence on him as speaker there was absolutely ridiculous. Like, that alone should have seen Jones kicked out again, dude. And not only kicked out again, seen his entire congressional district fucking erased off the goddamn map. And the same thing with that fucking retard Justin Pearson, as well as Gloria Johnson's district too, for that matter. Been like, nope, we're redistricting. Fuck all 3, man. These don't exist anymore. Fuck off. So, anyway. We had this one I thought was interesting. This is actually a Pro 2A opinion piece by, I can't remember if Tom Massey's a senator or a congressman. I think he's a congressman. It was him and John Lott, who's one of the Pro 2A guys. They wrote this article. It says, Biden's gun control law will radically change U.S. gun ownership. Oh, it will completely destroy U.S. gun ownership, gentlemen. It says, Biden keeps telling Americans that Bipartisan Safer Communities Act gun control bill he signed into law last year, which, by the way, is unconstitutional and illegal because of the fact that he's not an actual president in this country and has no legal authority to sign that shit in place, and him doing so should be null and void on the spot under Marbury versus Madison, not to mention every other gun control in this country should be null and void under Marbury versus Madison, based on the fact that it should be looked at and deemed as if it was never written to begin with, because it is unconstitutional. Anyway, it says accomplishment in the last 30 years. Said he's right, but it will do nothing to improve safety. Will radically change gun ownership. Americans are only now learning that the act prohibits federal funding for training and the use of dangerous weapons. In July, Biden Department of Education announced it would end funding to schools with riflery and archery teams or hunter safety courses. Said federal, by the way, that alone is why we should have a fucking tax revolt right now, dude. Because you're literally stealing American tax dollars that we're paying into the fucking system, and you're stealing away from these schools now because you're a fucking cunt. It says federal funding for public schools is sustainable and hard to ignore, typically according to about 8% of education spending. So the prohibition effectively spells an end to classes on sports pertaining to shooting or archery in public schools in an attempt to end the American culture of legal gun ownership. Yeah, it's disgusting, dude. Again, it's not us that they're always targeting. It's the next generation, the generation after that's what it is. It's exactly why when you have these douchebag Democrats, almost always Democrats, sometimes it's rhino fucksticks as well. You know, like that piece of shit Matt Dolan, who was clearly a fucking Democrat in disguise, trying to pass gun control through a subcommittee here that he chaired last year. The dudes unsuccessfully ran for our state house back in, I believe it was 2014, and then as a Democrat, by the way, and then realized like, gotta change my party affiliation now. Ran as a Republican in 2016, rode the fucking Trump train to successful getting into the Ohio Senate there, and then did the same thing in 2020 is what it was. And now he's trying to run for U.S. Senate currently. And he should have only thrown out of our General Assembly and arrested for various deprivation of laws and oath breaking. So, anyway. What am I now? But yeah, it's just a bunch of shit entirely, dude. I'm so fucking sick and tired of all of it. But basically, it's a way to destroy our country through multiple facets. And most of the time when I'm saying at state levels, you'll have these unconstitutional governors or state general assemblies, whatever it is, Democrat run almost always is what it is. They will attack the Second Amendment with bullshit unconstitutional crap like assault weapons bans or anything else like that, and then claim there's a grandfather clause in these things. So it's like, yeah, you as, a 45-year-old man or whatever the case be can have, an AR or an AK or whatever, as long as you register it with the fucking government, which, by the way, in doing so, you're creating a de facto gun roster is what it is, that they're eventually going to use Hitlerian style and come kick your fucking door in at 3 a.m. and Duncan Lemp your ass later on. Those don't know who Duncan Lemp is. He was the guy who was murdered in Maryland about, 2-3 years ago now? I think it was 2020, because it was one day after that idiot Breonna Taylor got her drug dealing ass, black supremacist ass smoked by the fucking cops there. By the way, anybody that still calls that chick a good person is a fucking idiot, because it's like, she's clearly not, dude. Like, it's all been proven at this point. Like, she was a hardcore drug dealer. She was literally driving around a car with a fucking dead body in it, for God's sakes. Etc., etc. She had been kicked out of being an EMT because she was stealing fucking medications, if I'm not mistaken, from the actual ambulances, is what it was there. And yeah, she was just a hardcore piece of shit, is what it was, dude. So, not to mention she was an anti-white racist / black supremacist, etc. And yeah, then you had Duncan murdered unjustly one day after her ass was killed. But of course, because she was a black female and you had the whole George Floyd thing happening at the time, you had fucking mainstream media elevate her ass, and nobody gave a shit about Duncan Lemp because he was a white guy. It's disgusting. Fucking disgusting entirely, dude. Mostly because Duncan didn't fit the actual narrative of not being a fucking scumbag. Which is what Breonna Taylor was, a fucking scumbag. Anyway, speaking of fucking scumbags, we got New Mexico governor's suspension of right to publicly carry ignites protests, lawsuits, and debates. Not gonna lie, I like this dude's symbolic here right now with the old school single shot musket. Although it's interesting because you look at how he's carrying that gun. So he's got that gun in one hand, and he clearly has something strapped on his arm there, which might just be a backpack with some other guns in it. I find it interesting though. And then of course you got his buddies there who you got one with his AR pistol, it looks like, and then you got one guy with a like M16 old school style Vietnam stock on there. I'm trying to read what the fuck he has written on that. This Oh, okay. So apparently he wrote on that rifle, it said, "This fucking keeps us free." Damn right it does, brother. Damn right it does. Anyway, see, this is Albuquerque, New Mexico. Some demonstrators defiantly wore holstered handguns on their hips or carried rifles in a Tuesday rally by gun rights advocates protesting New Mexico Governor Shellip Grisham's surprise order to suspend the right to carry firearms after 2 children were recently killed in separate shootings. By the way, both kids were killed by fucking criminals with guns that had nothing to do with legal gun ownership in this country, you dumb cunt. And even, like, the fucked up part is, even in her stupid statement there, she fucking straight up admitted, dude. She's like, yeah, it's gonna do nothing, but I can totally do this, is what it is. Giving myself emergency powers to do so, which is like, no, you can't, you stupid bitch. You have no legal authority to do that stuff. You are an oath-breaking sack of crap, Michelle. You should have already been arrested out of fucking office at this point by multiple sheriffs in the state of New Mexico. And the fact that you had, I think it was yesterday or the day before that, the cocksucker Democrat Party in Arizona fucking praising her ass and being like, oh, that's a good idea. We should do that here in Arizona too. Oh, so you also want to get sued out of fucking office? And this is exactly what I said before, dude. This is why, truthfully speaking, every American citizen should have the legal right to individually sue politicians by name, which is something we don't currently have right now. You can sue a city, you can sue a state, etc., but you can't sit there and be like, I'm going to sue the fuck out of Andrew Ginther, the mayor of Columbus, Ohio, or Justin Bibb, the mayor of Cleveland, Ohio, or Michelle Lupin Grisham, the fucking governor of New Mexico, etc. Which, again, going back to voter fraud stuff, if we actually did investigations and actual audits into this various state elections there, dude, Grisham would not be in office right now because she is definitely one of at least 10 Democrat cheaters from 2022. You had her. You had Gretchen Whitmer in Michigan. You had Janet Mills in Maine. You had Phil Murphy in New Jersey. You had Kathy Hunkel in New York. Gavin Newsom in California. Jay Inslee, whenever he was up for re-election a couple years ago, he cheated his way back into office. You had that piece of shit that took over for Kate Brown in Oregon. Tina Kotek, whatever her name is there. She 100% cheated her way into office in 2022. You had, let me think now, 6, 7, 8. You had, I'm trying to think who else is in office illegally right now. The person that took Maryland's governorship is also a cheater. And I'm trying to think now. I know there's at least 10 that I'm thinking of. That's 9. Or no, is that 8? That's 8. Yeah, there's at least 2 more out there I'm thinking of right now that I'm blanking on. Oh yeah, that's right. Wisconsin, Tony Evers' ass. And wait, is it Tony Evers' Wisconsin governor? Or is that the other guy? I always mix the 2 guys up with what it is. Yeah. Allegedly, just so we're clear on that one. It's all allegedly that they stole these governorships. So, anyway. Yeah, let me go check some stuff right now. Tony. Okay, yeah, it is Tony Evers. It's the governor of Wisconsin right now. He totally jacked that fucking governorship. And then it was, who's the other son of a bitch out there? Oh, J.B. Pritzker in Illinois. He jacked that governorship too. So, anyway. All right, where the fuck am I right now? Oh, yeah, that's right. I was reading the rest of this article then about Grisham's ass being a fucking super cheater. So, yeah, you got a second rally that happened yesterday, apparently. It says rally unfolded on New Mexico's Civic Plaza shortly before New Mexico Attorney General Raul Torres announced that he cannot defend the governor's public health order on firearms, furthering a divide between the state's top-ranking elected Democrats. That's what's crazy, too, by the way. You even have the Democrat Party coming after this bitch now and being like, yeah, this is unconstitutional. Like, it's blatantly unconstitutional and you're going to get sued, lady. Like, fuck off, basically. What's even crazier is, of all places, one of the hosts at CNN last night, or it might have been Monday night even for that matter, I'm not sure. It was either Monday night or Tuesday sometime, actually called out Grisham while she was on their fucking program there and was like, she straight up read to her the New Mexican Constitution, where it was talking about, like, you cannot restrict people's right to keep and bear arms in that state is what it is, dude. It's the same thing here in Ohio. They cannot do that in Article 1, Section 4 of the Ohio Constitution. We legally have the right to keep and bear arms in the state over that. And that's exactly why these sons of bitches here on the left are trying to fuck with our gun rights is what it is, because they know they can't do it in our General Assembly ever, because they're never going to have the majority there is what it is. So they're going to try to backdoor do it through bullshit ass fucking amendments in the future here, probably like May or June, I guess, honestly. It'll either be this next May of 2024 they're going to try and pull that shit, or it's going to be November of next year then for the 2024 election cycle. Which, honestly, I'm to the point of saying, hey, it's time for us to get off our asses right now here in Ohio and start doing some stuff and getting our own amendment on the books right now that would not only solidify Article 1, Section 4 for the next 1,000 years in the state of Ohio, but it would also add to it. And basically, everything that's in our revised code here in the state of Ohio, which would be stuff like constitutional carry, stand your ground, etc., as well as putting in a Second Amendment Preservation Act, we could actually enshrine that into the actual state constitution then. So it could never be restricted upon is what it would be then. So, anyway. But the problem is getting people together to do it actually with no money or funding is what it is, dude, which is one thing that the Soros paid ACLU has on their side when it comes to doing anti-gun stuff, and Bibb and all these other asswipes have on their side too, for that matter, is public funds that they've stolen. So, anyway. It said right now. Yeah, it said New Mexico's Attorney General Raul Torres said in a letter to Lupin Grisham that although he agrees a debate is needed on the impact of gun violence, which is gang violence, by the way, cannot be rebranded as public health emergency to justify a blanket 30-day prohibition against carrying firearms in and around Albuquerque, New Mexico. He urged Governor to consider whether her time would be better spent on developing comprehensive legislation. Said, well, I understand that frustration may have led you to undertake a unilateral approach to addressing the heart-wrenching challenge of gun violence in our community. I urge you to consider this course of action. Said Grisham responded by saying she, quote, was looking for state leaders to step up and take bold steps to make New Mexicans safer from the scourge of gun violence. Oh, here's a wild idea, you stupid cunt. Close the fucking border to your goddamn state. That's leading to most of this shit. It's not gun violence, you stupid fucking cunt. It's cartels coming into the United States of America through your open border system in New Mexico and bringing a bunch of fast and furious guns back with them over the fucking border to kill Americans and do all kinds of fucking cartel hits and shit. And what do you have? You have little kids caught in the fucking crossfire of many of these things. It's you fucking pieces of shit not having the actual law enforcement in your damn state enforce the damn rule of law that's already in the fucking books and put hardcore offenders and illegal aliens in prisons where they fucking belong. Like, that's the problem right now. And if you're not going to do that, Michelle, then fucking resign, you stupid cunt. And let somebody else step who fucking will do that job as a better governor then. For real. So fucking sick and tired of this bitch, dude. Says her spokesman, Carolyn Sweeney, wrote in an email, said, we invite Attorney General to turn his attention to that effort. So many of the dozens of people gathered in Albuquerque on Tuesday wore t-shirts in support of the right to keep and bear arms, while others waved American flags and held signs reading, do not comply. They range from military veterans to mothers. Said Alicia Otoro, her son was killed in 2021, held a poster that included a photo of her 24-year-old son, Elias Otoro, with the words, I blame the shooter, not the gun. Exactly, dude. It's the actions of the individual, not the fucking inanimate object these fuckers use. Said, quote, I'm here because I'm against gun violence and been trying to our governor to make changes and to hold the offenders accountable, and now she has made this new order. It's unfair to us because we're scared. After things like this happen, we need to protect ourselves, and now she's taking away that away from us. So law-abiding citizens are being punished by the order that won't curb crimes like the one her family suffered, Alicia said. Said Grisham said Friday that she compelled to suspend The open and concealed carry of guns because of recent killings. These included the deaths of an 11-year-old outside of a minor league ball game stadium in Albuquerque, and a 13-year-old in Torres County. Said Catholic Church was among the few joining longtime gun control advocates in support of the order. Fuck you people, man. This is the problem, by the way, is the fucking clergy thinking that they have any goddamn say in any of this shit, dude. And that's one thing you look back into the whole Agenda 2030 thing and the Agenda 21 stuff back from like 10, 15, 20 years ago now is what it is. One of the things that they talked about, it was after, I believe, Hurricane Katrina, almost 20 years ago now. You had them discussing how it was like various globalists and their puppets and stuff like that discussing how, oh, we need to have the clergy step up and have their voice be basically telling the constituency and stuff like that and their congregations that, oh, you should totally give up your gun rights and stuff like that to a fucking tyrannical government. Fuck you, churches. Fuck you, synagogues. Fuck you, Islam, etc., dude. You know, that's why we had that like 45-minute debate last night on Honest Chat, by the way, about religion and stuff like that, which is a good actual debate. And where Vandrick and I very much agreed on some stuff, which is that, you know, we believe in, you know, higher powers and stuff. We don't believe in the institutions of religion is what it is, dude. At least I don't anyway. I know he said he didn't either. So, and that's the big thing, like, because that's the problem, dude. You have a priest, you have a pastor, whatever the case be, that's going to lie to your fucking face and be like, you know, go into the pulpit and be all like, oh, but you should totally listen to me about this thing that I have nothing to fucking, you know, no experience with or anything else like that. And it's like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up, Steve. Like, seriously. So, but yeah, they've all been compromised for at least 20 years now, is what it is. And it's by design, dude. Anyway, it said, Miranda Vascala, co-president of Mexicans to Prevent Gun Violence, which guarantees a Moms Doing Action offshoot, called it disheartening that more people aren't backing the governor's move. Yeah, because it's unconstitutional, you stupid fucking cunt. Jeez, I want to find a picture of this dumb bitch right now, dude. Oh, interesting. Look at this woman's name. It comes up with an actor's name. So, let's see. I'm assuming this is that dumb whore here, honestly. Yep, this is a picture of her dumbass right here. And a video on YouTube there. A bunch of other YouTube videos and stuff. What a dumb cunt, dude. Of course, it's some fucking Karen type, dude. It always is, by the way. It's always some white liberal bitch that has a fucking thinking her voice matters or any kind, dude. Anyway, she says, hearing gunshots outside your home in Albuquerque is kind of a norm now. There has been a spike in gun violence in New Mexico, and we're at the breaking point. No, there's been a spike in the amount of cartel and illegal aliens being allowed to pour over our fucking borders because dumbass Biden, when he got into office illegally, was like, hey, everybody, come on in. We're just going to end the stay in Mexico policy. Come on in here to fucking America now. And now he's talking about some bullshit like stay in Texas order or something like that, dude. Because Eric Adams and other dipshit fucking leftist mayors in sanctuary cities are all like, oh, these few busloads of illegals that were sent to us, it's overwhelming our fucking resources. Welcome to America, assholes. That's just been overwhelming us for fucking decades here, man. You really think that we here in Ohio wanted like 100,000 Somalians dropped on us by that fucking cocksucker Obama back under that idiot Kasich administration? Hell no. But you know what happened? You had fucking dickhead John Kasich illegally and unconstitutionally have unilateral powers just like fucking Grisham pulled the other day, where he's like, oh yeah, we'll take in these people claiming refugee status and stuff like that. It's like, no, fuck you, dude. We'll take it to a vote, motherfucker. Anybody that wants to have them be in here, guess what? Their yes vote is also a yes vote into their fucking homes. Because they're going to take an entire family of these fuckers into the house with them is what it is then. And if they don't like that, then good. Fucking vote no on it, dumbasses. Because that's the problem, dude. And it's the same thing overseas, by the way, in like London and Britain, places like that is what it is. You'll have these jackasses be like, refugees welcome, and then you have people go out there and do like man on the street interviews with them and stuff like that and be all like, okay, are you willing to house some of these people in your home? And they're like, well, you know, I rent an apartment and I don't really have any space, or, oh, I live in a small house, don't have any space. And like, you're just a fucking loser, dude. You are a hypocrite fucking douchebag is what it is. that wants to sit there and be all about open borders and shit and advocate for that crap. Yet meanwhile, when it comes to your own fucking home, you're like, nope, I don't want these rapists with me and stuff. Because that's what they are in many cases, dude. They're actual fucking hardcore rapist types. Almost all of them are fucking fighting age males. It's goddamn foreign invasions, dude. And the fact that we have not outed this shit at this point in history over that stuff is ridiculous. The fact that there has not been a that's the one thing I will give DeSantis, actually. He was talking to, I believe it was CBS in the last couple of days, and they were talking about border crisis stuff, and he was basically talking about if he was actually the presidency right now, he would actually have, like, National Guard / U.S. military down the borders is what it was right now, dude. Having, like, basically, at the ready and be like, hey, take a step over the fucking line, bitches, and we're going to fucking, it's declared war at that point. And that's what it should have been, honestly, dude. But yeah, the entire point is, though, is every single time that we have a caravan of illegals coming up to our border right now, it should be declared an act of war. And it should be all bets are off at that point. You should have it dealt with accordingly, and it's as simple as that, really. I can't go into further detail than that because I don't want to get YouTube strikes is what it is. But no, that's the entire point, dude. You should be able to literally do what needs to be done to secure our fucking borders when it is there. And if nothing else, you give them warnings, dude. I talked to Corey about this actually in the back chat the other day we had on Monday. And I was saying how, if we did this correctly, what you would do is you'd have where our actual border sits, where the border wall would be right now, you'd have that obviously being built, rightfully so and whatnot. You would have various things like a few hundred to a few thousand yards behind is what it is there. And it would be some kind of speaker set up there that could be done, some way or another is what it would be then. I know we have the technology to do it now is what it is. And it would be, you would have these speaker systems where if you get within like 10 yards of them or something like that, you can actually hear the vocals and stuff. Maybe even 20 yards for that matter, depending on how far it will I don't want to like make it so that you wouldn't have like animals, be able to do whatever there, but like, yeah, it'd be nice to have, maybe it's like motion activated for that matter, even if that'd be the case then, where if you like trigger something like close to it or whatever, it'll actually like just start doing the thing then. But yeah, it would be something where you like have the people that come up there or whatever the case be, and it would be like speaking to them in Spanish and then English and a few other languages too for that matter. And it would just be like a short thing, be like, you are now preparing to invade the United States of America, lethal force will be used against you, something like that kind of thing would be then. Like, do not step any further, or you will be risking lethal force by declared act of war, or something like that would be then. And that would be a way to deal with it, honestly. Very simply, dude. And if nothing else, you just have like, landmine fields set up in places like that, or just like maybe even fake landmine fields for that matter, and just be like, you were about to a landmine field, just having a bunch of different languages on the placard. So anyway, I don't know. There's deterrents that could be done, and unfortunately we're not doing them. Actually, one of the biggest deterrents that could be done right now is arresting George Soros and Alex Soros too, for that matter, and freezing and seizing every last dollar of these fuckers' assets right now, dude, because they're the ones who are funding so many of these NGOs that are giving these people fucking rides up to our border, dude. There's a reason why you have caravans that should be taking months to get here that are here in like a week. It's because they literally have them all jump in the back of a fucking vehicle, big ass truck or whatever the case be, cramped on top of each other like sardines and shit. And then about like 10 miles from the fucking border, have them all jump out of that fucking truck, hand them some bottles of water and stuff like that, and be like, that way is the U.S. border. Have at it, Haas. And they do. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit entirely. But anyway, so let's see, where was that now? Then, of course, you got all these people that are sitting there taking their passports and ripping them up like, miles from our border and stuff like that. They're from various third world countries or from various other countries, like various African nations and shit. So, anyway. Let's see. Yeah, you had that idiot woman for the gun control group talking about New Mexico being its breaking point. So Michelle Lipman Grisham rebuffed calls to rescind the order from Republican lawmakers who also threatened impeachment proceedings. They need to be doing that shit, by the way, by the end of the week here. But even some influential Democrats and civil rights leaders typically aligned with the governor's progressive political agenda warned that her well-intended move, not well-intended by the way at all, could do more harm than good to overall efforts to ease gun violence. So several lawsuits have been filed, rightfully so. So the U.S. District Court judge in Albuquerque is scheduled to hear motions for a temporary restraining order on Wednesday afternoon, which would be sometime here this afternoon. We might actually do another grandstand if that be the case. If we hear anything more about this before tonight, then. Or, wait, today is Wednesday, right? Okay. We'll just wait a day because Buckshot Thursday, we got stuff we don't want to talk about there is what it is. So, yeah, we'll just do whatever happens with this training order and stuff like that. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the Buckshot Thursday episode then. But yeah, it says New Mexico is an open carry state, so governor's orders affect anyone in Bernalillo County who can legally own a gun with some expectations. Just over 14,500 people in that county. The state's most populous county and home to Albuquerque had an active license according to the financial record of 2023 data. So you have over almost 15,000 people have a concealed carry license. There's what it is. So as an afternoon press conference, New Mexico Republican Party Chairman Steve Pierce accused Grisham of totalitarianism behavior and called her order unconstitutional. We need to knock this thing down and send her packing. Be very simple if you just did actual audits in the 2022 election cycle, bro, and you proved she was a fucking cheater. Just like Katie Hobbs cheated in Arizona. It says Bernalillo County Sheriff John Allen and Albuquerque, New Mexico Police Chief Harold Medina said the order violates constitutional rights and they will not enforce it. Good for them. Which, by the way, that police chief is actually a Democrat. I think he's appointed by Grisham's ass too, which is even funnier. It says Allen is a top law enforcement official. Among top law enforcement officials and prosecutors who say that they weren't consulted before Grisham announced her order that even she admits will be ignored by criminals. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, because you are the fucking criminal, you dumb bitch. Says New Mexico's Chief of Police Association said every law enforcement officer in the state shares Grisham's concerns about gun violence, but the order was in the wrong way to go. Association will join others in calling for the special legislative session to tackle gun violence, and the group's head, Farmington Police Chief Stephen Hubby, it's a knee-jerk reaction to cartel rights of every citizen rather than focusing on lawbreakers who plague our communities. Just isn't or can't be justified, is what he said there. So, yeah, needless to say, it's a bunch of shit, dude. And that's the thing; it's such a bunch of crap, dude, entirely. So, that's a good question, actually. How old is George Soros right now? I want to say he's in his 90s, like late 90s, but I'm not totally sure on that one. I know he's given a lot of money to Alex Soros, though, recently. He is 93. He just turned 93 back in August. And supposedly his net worth is $6.7 billion, which is a fucking lie, dude. Like, that dude is a trillionaire at this point, by the way. That is not like $6.5 billion, dude. That is what his financial records say. But yeah, that guy is a fucking trillionaire. Just like a lot of other Bilderberg heads is what it is, dude. He's one of them. The Rothschild family is also trillionaires. Royal family is trillionaires. I'm trying to think who else now. Bill Gates most likely is actually a trillionaire. And a few other people that make up the Bilderberg group and stuff like that are all in that T. Not the B. They're in the T now. So, but yeah, they all need to be in the Z for zero is what it is, dude, for real. Because like I said, if we actually were justified society, they would be open to arrest warrants every single one of these fucking people for crimes against humanity and a bunch of other various felony charges. Death penalty sentences and stuff like that would be. And yeah, every last dollar source is asked to be for reasons. Rothschilds for funding forever awards and stuff like that, and creating central banks in all these countries that we invaded over the last 20 years or so. Same thing with the Rockefeller family, same thing with the Royal family, etc. But unfortunately, nobody has the balls to do it. What it is, man. Because unfortunately, mostly almost all of them are puppets right now. Is what it is. So anyway, but and as we talked about before, when you literally have Nazi-ass Soros funding a bunch of shit here in Ohio, including the November election cycle, you can go fuck off right now, dude. Because I guarantee if I looked into... I was trying to find the name of the actual group that was behind the bullshit pro-abortion ad here that was running across my screen the other day when I was watching TV. The problem is they did their thing so lightly, it's like hard to tell. And I think that's by design is what it is, because they don't want you knowing who the fuck they are is what it is, because that way you could actually look into their name and then be able to tie them either directly to Soros or to some group that's like basically an NGO of George Soros is what it is then. So, but yeah, every single one of these ad buy things like that, dude, it's like, fuck you and your bullshit, dude. The fact that shit started with 56 days left until the ballot is fucking ridiculous. There really should be laws on the books across the board where you cannot do political ads within anything over 30 days in an election cycle. Like, it should be a 30-day max or whatever the case be. And even then, with that 30-day max, it should be like cap out for ad buys and stuff like that, where you can't have like every single commercial break being the same fucking shit over and over again, which is exactly why some people were hoodwinked here back in August with the actual good issue one back in August there to vote no on that, because it was them being told like the whole one person, one vote fucking jerk offs that are tied to Soros and Democrat Party and stuff like that were like, oh, but this is going to shred the Ohio Constitution. It's like, no, it would have made the Ohio Constitution be one of 42 states that actually has a 6% threshold. Or you got 40 other states that have that right now. So, and now of course you got these Democrats bitching and moaning because you have a piece of legislation that was introduced here in Ohio like about a week or so ago. I'm going to talk about that for a minute here, and then we're going to finish up the episode with that actually, which is going to legiscan.com here. Let's see if I can. Oh yeah, I forgot they're back in session now. So, need to call up my lawmaker today is what it is there. We'll talk about that one, then we'll go to some other stuff that was done here right now. Yeah, enact the Voter Registration Modernization Act, which would basically eliminate people voting for other parties in the primary and then jumping over to different party for the election cycles that'll be there. So let's see what else we got here for Ohio for the last day or so now for new legislation that was introduced here yesterday. Let's see, 12th, establish community connectors workforce program. It's probably Republican, I'm guessing. Yep, 10 Republicans and 3 Democrats were on that too as well. Let's see. You got Abduli's ass, who shouldn't be in our General Assembly, and then Joshua Miller and Letitia Humphreys, who got in there by default. Let's see. Allow public schools to employ chaplains. Guarantee that's Republican 100%. Yep, 10 Republicans. Oh, nice. It's actually my state rep that's the one that's the primary sponsor of that bad boy. Yeah, for those that don't know, Reggie Stolfus is my state rep here. And then Gary Click, who's actually, if I'm not mistaken, Gary Click is actually a pastor on his time not in the General Assembly. So it's kind of funny that those two guys would be the primary sponsors of that then. So let's see. Then we got House Bill 239 establishes requirements for replica motor vehicles. Let's see, House Bill 265 require teacher's license, revocation, hiring practices, conduct. Let's see, what's this one about here? 4 Republicans, 1 Democrat. Who's a Democrat? Oh, Adam Miller's ass. Okay, so it was Sarah Fowler Arthur who did this, by the way. She was one of the chicks who was actually homeschooled and stuff before she got no General Assembly. Let's see. During teacher's license, revocation, teacher hiring practices, conduct unbecoming of teaching profession. So I'm guessing what she means is like pedophile pushing probably on that one. I'm going to go ahead and read this real quick, actually, and see if it's super short or not. Okay. It's pretty long, actually, so maybe we won't read this. Yeah, it's quite long, man. That's the problem. It's like a lot of the stuff they're changing is not much of anything. It's just a little bit here and there. Okay. So, yeah, basically, we'll actually probably call her office later and talk to her about that one if that be the case. Let's see. Then we got designate some random highway for some dead soldier. We got HJR 3 applies to Congress for a convention of states. Interesting. Who actually introduced this one? Roden McLean, along with Bernard Willis and a few other Republicans then. Let's see. Creech is on this. Trying to see who else is on that one. Yeah, of course, Bill Seitz is on that one. The thing, so this is the problem I have, though, with the whole convention of states thing, right? Is people don't realize, like, well, it's good in theory, man. Just because you want, like, one thing or two things or whatever, dude, like, This is why even the founding fathers understood we don't have conventions of states, dude. Because the one time in history they actually did it back in like the 1800s is what it was, like 1801 or whatever the fuck it was. There, they shut that shit down almost immediately, people, because they're like, they had the convention there is what it was, and people were like, yeah, I kind of want to push this thing, but then who else is going to push other things? We were all like, they're sort of having like conversations among themselves, and if that be the case, and they're just like, I vote to end this convention. And that's what happened, dude. You had a bunch of them convene and stuff like that, and they were like about to do some stuff. They had the box open pretty much, and they're just like, close Pandora's box quickly without changing anything. And that's the thing, man. You're talking about some of the smartest men in history realize that conventions of states are a bad idea. And they are. It's because you can have anybody bring anything to the table at that point. You know, it's just like that dickhead Newsom now trying to push his bullshit 20th Amendment, where it's basically like anti-gun crap that's going to destroy the Second Amendment then. Yet, meanwhile, he doesn't understand that anybody else can bring anything to the table then if that be the case. And even people down in California there were talking about that here recently because they were doing some hearing there in California to do like the call for convention of states or whatever it was for 20th Amendment there that Newsom created. And it was some chick who was at the hearing who was some like anti-gunner type or whatever the case be. And she's like, yeah, this is probably a bad idea because you never know what anybody else is going to bring to the table if that be the case. And she's right about that because truthfully speaking, like this is what I bring to the table personally, dude. If I was at the Convention of States here, I'd be like, nationwide constitutional carry, nationwide stand your ground, concealed carry on campus, banning of all gun-free zones, and just keep going down that line where everything is like pro 2A as fuck. And then it would also be nationwide ban on abortion, nationwide ban on child sterilization, and just like fucking like laundry list of shit basically is what it is, dude. And yeah, these people would be shitting their fucking britches at that point, man, for real. So anyway, but let's see, to go back to the General Assembly here though. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so we got Convention of States, then we got House Bill 237, make changes regarding off-road vehicles, Senate Bill 153, temporarily modify the method for valuing real estate for taxes. Seems like kind of a scumbag play on that one. Let's see, House Bill 256, require Ohio DNR to inquire about organ donation. That's pretty weird, actually. Then we got another designation for some cop or whatever to be a moral highway now. Let's see, House Bill 258, increased fine for repeatedly selling tobacco products to minors. That's cool, whatever. House Bill 255 regards massage establishments and non-therapeutic massages. So what is that? No happy endings? Yeah, I'm confused by that one. Are you calling it like the no happy endings fucking policy there, people? Come on. See, Kevin Miller, Habib, Sean Byrne, and Sarah Carruthers. Let's see what this actually would do. Make changes to laws governing massage establishments to establish a non-therapeutic massage registration and to amend version of section the revised code. Scheduled to take effect December 29th, 2023 to continue the change on and after the date. Okay, so basically do some random bullshit then. Okay, let's see. Create suicide prevention license plate. Let's see who's on that one. That Steve guy is one of the new reps, and then Susan Manchester is the other one. So you got another highway memorial designation for a dead sheriff there. Let's see, 228, rename the Vern Raff Center as the Tanya Sire Memorial Center. Guarantee this is Democrats, by the way. I know it's Republicans, actually. Well, I should say there was one Democrat in there. It's that Billy bitch. So who was Tanya? I'm going to look up who Tanya was even. Like, what was her fucking claim to fame then? Because I assume that Vern guy was some, like, famous person, whatever the case be. Let's see. Okay, this one was a pipe fitter. So it goes back to June of this year. All right, let's check this out. It was talking about a group of lawmakers want to change stuff here. Let's see. Rename Vern Raff Center. Let's see. Most Republican group of lawmakers wants to strike the name of Ohio's long-serving speaker from the 32-story government office building and rename it after a worker who died during its construction. Oh, okay. That's cool. Group of 16 Republicans and one Democrat introduced House Bill 228 Wednesday to rename Vern Raff Center as Tanya Slater Memorial Center. Vern Raff Center, originally built in 1988 for approximately $130 million, christened after Vernal G. Raff Jr., a Democrat from New Boston who served as Ohio's House Speaker for nearly 20 years from 1975 to 1994 and died in 1997. By the way, that right there is exactly what we have turbulence on our state house right now, dude. This is one of the bill's primary sponsors, Mark Johnson. His biography said he worked on the tower as a... Oh, okay, so it's actually a guy. I was thinking of a chick for some reason then. Okay, so it was... What's that person's name now? Yeah, it does say Tanya. Huh, that's weird. Anyway, it says that person was an apprentice, pipe fitter at the time. According to Johnson... Okay, no, it was a chick. Okay. Yeah, so she fell from the 15th floor and died. A scene witnessed by... Oh, okay, so he actually witnessed her death. Holy shit, dude. That's got to have an impact on you. So we believe that it would be appropriate to memorialize her by renaming the building after her in honor of her work ethic while shining a light on work safety and diversity in our job. Fuck off, Johnson. Fucking diversity crap, dude. Says among Riff's accomplishments are the creation of Shawnee State University and getting the Constitution of Ohio Route 32 funded. It says he was charged for failing to report speaker's fees in 1996. Other lawmakers at the time pleaded guilty to misdemeanor charges. Dude, I'll tell you, like right there, dude. Ohio has been corrupt for like my entire fucking life, bro. Oh my god, man. I don't know. Like, I would say, I guess, change it to her name if that be the case, just because it's like it's not about the diversity thing, but it's like, you know, like, yeah, she died making the fucking place, dude, so why shouldn't we name it to her instead of some scumbag ass criminal politician that was a fucking Democrat in our state house then? So, anyway. But, yeah, going back to the rest of this, though. I'm going to call Stolfus's office here in about an hour, probably, and talk to his people about introducing some legislation to deal with some scam stuff in the state of Ohio, as well as get the SOPA off the fucking ground finally. Let's see what else we got here now. Let's see, we got involuntary treatment for mental illness. Let's see, revised military enlistment diploma seal, enact the Brenna Broaded SUDEP Awareness Act. What the fuck is that? Oh, of course, it's Democrats. Let's see. Okay, said non-expected death and epilepsy. Okay, so this is some chick that died of epilepsy recently then. Makes sense. Of course, Allison Russo's cunt ass is on this legislation. So is that bitch Michelle Grimm, who's also pushing anti-gun crap, and Bride Sweeney, who's done anti-gun shit in the past. I think she's actually on one of the ones right now. Because they're all the good old cunts, dude, of Ohio. Let's see. Enact the Self-Defense Protection Act. Oh, we got pro-choice legislation, baby! What is this now? What is this? Let's see. Josh Williams is one of the first termers here. Let's see. Enact the Self-Defense Protection Act to create a pretrial procedure for a person asserting self-defense, defense of another, or defense of that person's property. Yay. Finally getting a House Criminal Judiciary Committee hearing. Being referred to that. Nice, nice. Let's see. Establish the 988 suicide prevention mental health telephone line. Let's see. Create historic and patriotic education license plates. Let's see, regards homestead property tax exemption for disabled veterans. Should be for anybody over the age of retirement, by the way, as well. Let's see, regard imposing sentence on offender who entered an Alfred plea regarding drug trafficking, organized trafficking of persons. So that would be human trafficking as well on that one. Let's see, Cindy Abrams' Swearingen. Let's see, penalties for drug trafficking above certain amounts, and to prohibit organized trafficking of persons, aka human trafficking. Which, by the way, as of the other day, you had a bunch of people up there in Cleveland who were being trafficked into random ball games and stuff to be prostitutes for ball games and shit like that through, like, I think it was the Greyhound bus system or something. And it's like, that's the problem with Ohio in general, though. I've talked about this before, honestly, many times, dude. The issue with human trafficking in the state and being able to snatch somebody up in the state and take them out of state is very fucking easy because of Ohio's highway system, where you can basically have them on a highway within like 5 minutes or something and have them in another state within like an hour or less. Whether it be, Pennsylvania, New York, Kentucky, etc., any border state that we have to us, over there to Indiana, etc. So it's very disturbing, dude. But anyway, wrong one. Let's see, going back here, we got the Never Act Alone Act. What the hell is this? Bunch of Republicans to create a congregation care setting from denying a patient or resident access to an advocate, and to name the act the Never Act Alone. That's good. It's interesting when you see these 100% Republican bills, by the way, and it's like, you would think, honestly, with something like this, you'd have like the entire Republican Party on this, but there's only 19 of the 60 plus in our state house on it right now, dude. It's kind of a slap in the face a little bit. Let's see. Then we got House Bill 235, regards State Board of Education membership and meetings. 223, create Jackson Local Schools license plate. Fuck that. Take that bill, replace it with, from this shit, to a 2A bill, motherfuckers. Seriously. Seriously, pro 2A people in the General Assembly. How do you let 223, one of the best gun calibers ever created, be used for some bullshit license plate fucking legislation? Fuck that, man. Earmark that shit for 2A legislation, bitches. Same thing with 556, motherfuckers. Same thing with 762. Etc., etc. So, anyway. Let's see what else we got here now. 226, regard customer-owned water service license replacement cost. 225, designate month of June as Pride Month. I guarantee this is 100% Democrat bullshit right here. Yep, 20 Democrats. Let's see, Juanita Brent's the top of the list here, followed by Tavia Galansky, another stupid cunt, is the other primary sponsor of it. Elliot Forhan, who's a pedophile, and one of the people that was on the thing to allow children to be lured by people into cars. Of course, you got Mohammed on that one. You got Anina Samani, who was one of these sicko fuckers who was also a so-called doctor in the state of Ohio, even though she should have a medical license a long fucking time ago, because her ass legitimately gender transitions children. And then, of course, you got hate-hoaxing sack of shit Casey Weinstein on this one, along with stupid cunt Allison Russo, who took a bribe from MDA members 2 Mays ago. Fuck all those people, dude. See, we got House Bill 227, which, by the way, House Bill 227 last year was pro 2A legislation. As regards the Adam H. boards and recovering housing residencies. Let's see, 224 regards dedicated organ recovery vehicles and traffic laws. 246 regards self-directed Medicaid services. 242 establishes Armed Forces Reserve Component Scholarship Program. 243 designates Roy Rogers Day. Jesus. Oh, good God. Who's on this one? Okay, so Justin Pazel. This is probably the guy that took over for Chris Jordan. And by the way, should have been an actual hire through a special election, not a fucking appointee. God damn it, Reggie. Why are you on this legislation, dog? Like, there's 6 people on this, bro. Why are you one of them? Like, this is just a waste of time, my friend. Jesus. Although I guess it makes sense considering they want to do it as November 5th as Roy Rogers Day. So it makes sense that they would try to fast track this through to have it the first one here happen then. Which makes sense given the fact that if you want to have another holiday off, you would designate November 5th as Roy Rogers Day and have a actual, thing for the thing there. Then we got 244, appropriates funds for fire department, and 245 prohibits certain adult cabaret performances. This is actually a good piece of legislation right here. This is by Angela King and Josh Williams, two of the new people. This is actually the one that would ban drag shows for kids and basically pedo shit in front of children. So, yeah, good legislation, dude. Hopefully this gets fast-tracked through the Criminal Justice Committee then, if that be the case, and we can get it through before the end of the year. Here's what it is. And get it into law before January 1st then. So, anyway. But, yeah, interesting stuff. So, that being said, that's about where we're at for the day. I'm going to go eat real quick. And as I'm eating, I'm going to do a little, take my paper here and do a little jot down of the things I want to discuss in my state rep's office. And then I'm going to call them up here and be like, hey, let's talk about SOPA. Let's talk about, introducing legislation to stop scamming and stuff like that in the state and deal with the Kia boys and stuff like that is what it is, which I was going to do a week ago, whatever I got a chance to do. And now that I'm awake here at noon, I'm going to totally do this now is what it is, since I got a few hours left before they would leave for the day then. So hopefully I can talk to somebody, but if nothing else, I'll just leave a message. That'd be the case then. So anyway, but other than that, it's been a good one. Like I said, if anything comes of the various stuff this afternoon here in New Mexico, which as far as I'm aware, they're still on West Coast time, which I think would be like 9 or 10 a.m. right now. So it'll probably be a few more hours then. I will simply have that be tomorrow's episode for Buckshot Thursday. And then we'll be doing Freedom Friday as well for that matter then. Other than that, it's been a good one. We'll be back for those two shows this week. And then probably nothing until Monday after that then. So it'll be Thursday, Friday, and then we'll take the weekend off and come back probably Monday with something else then. But anyway, that being said, hug your kids, hug your wife, hug your husband, whatever, spouse, etc. Call your mom, your dad, your sisters, your brothers, your cousins, your aunts, your uncles, all that stuff like that. Uncles, obviously. Call them all up. Tell them you love them. Because you never know if today's going to be your last day with them or not. Bunch of crazies out there, man. And always remember, we're going to do a new sign-off now. Always be carrying with one in the chamber, because if you're not, you're going to end up deader than Detroit Urban Survival Tactics. Have a good one, y'all. Later.